Hello and welcome back to my channel Learn SST. So today we are going to do lesson number 2 of grade 9 from book 1 of MSc, The Bronze Age and an-Nar. So without wasting much of the time, let's get started. So here we have the learning outcomes to identify the an-Nar culture and what made it unique in terms of how it treated people and its economic development. Identify the key elements of the Bronze Age. Describe how equality can be improved between people. Before I proceed further, just a humble request to please subscribe if you haven't subscribed as yet. Here is activity 1, very much from the textbook. Please go through. Now, let us see the challenges of a drying climate. Around 5000 BC, people of U.A.E had a good diet and were generally healthy. However, after 4000 BC, the climate became drier. That means 1000 years later, the climate slowly and steadily started becoming drier. Why? Because the monsoon started shifting. The monsoons from the Indian Ocean shifted to the Indian subcontinent, which is very much the same now. U.A.E is not receiving any proper like monsoon rains, but the India and Indian subcontinent is properly receiving the rains from June to September. Evidence from skeletons showed that the people became very tough as the climate became drier. People were struggling to have enough to eat and diseases became more common. So people started losing their weight, they started becoming weak, and due to weakness, they started becoming immune to various diseases. The Indian Ocean monsoon began to move south to its current position. So it is in the southernmost region of India, we get heavy rainfall, and then slowly and steadily the rain or the monsoons proceeds further. So this meant that the area received less rain. We are talking with respect to U.A.E now. The climate started to become similar to today's climate in the U.A.E. So how in U.A.E we don't get monsoons at all. So it was the same in 4000 BC. After less rain came, the number of people living in the area declined. People could live inland only part of the year. After rains fell and grasslands grew for a short time. Even with less rain, people in the ancient U.A.E did start growing crops. That is something very fascinating to know. The early evidence we have of growing crops in the U.A.E area is from hilly inland. In about 3000 BC, the people there grew a variety of crops. One of the most important crops was the date palm. It provided food in addition to material for building and basket making. So, building material as well as for basket making, this is not something which is very modern. This has been there in the tradition or in the culture of U.A.E since long, that is since 4000 BC. People also grew wheat and barley. To grow crops, people had to obtain fresh water as there wasn't enough fresh water from the rain. So people dug wells to bring fresh water from under the ground to the surface. Then people poured the water into the channels that would move into the fields. As time went on, people in the U.A.E developed increasingly more efficient ways of obtaining water. Although agriculture was established in the ancient U.A.E around 3000 BC, people still gathered food in traditional ways. They gathered wild plants and fruit. People also hunted animals like oryx, gazelles, and wild animals like camels and so on. People living in villages on the coast and islands developed efficient ways of catching large fish. So the agriculture activities plus the food gathering activity along with the fishing activity was going on. The pastoral nomads who moved with their sheep and goats across the landscape or during the winter and summer continued their lifestyle, probably trading with the new villages like Hilly and so on. By 3000 BC, donkeys were used for transporting goods along the coast and along the edges of the mountains. However, getting across the sand dunes from Al region to the either to Abu Dhabi or Dubai region was still difficult until people started domesticating the camels. That's the reason the camel is called the ship of the desert, but because it is only the camel who can move on that burning sand. because of its long legs, and it has got various other physical features which helps in its easy movement in the desert region, which none of the other animals can do so. Now here we have activity 2, that is the concept check from the textbook. Please go through. Activity 3 again from the textbook. Please go through. an-Nar and the Bronze Age. The society in the U.A.E area around 2500 BC is often called as an-Nar culture. Archaeologists first learned about this society on the island of an-Nar near Abu Dhabi. The an-Nar culture was quite unique, especially for its time. So, what makes it very unique? You must have seen it in the video. They had this sense of equality between people, which was not the case with the people of Mesopotamia or Egypt at that time. So that makes an-Nar a unique place or a unique culture. In about 3000 BC, the Bronze Age began with the an-Nar society playing a prominent, a very important role in the Bronze Age. During the Bronze Age, that is about 3000 to 1200 BC, again in a descending order because it is before the birth of Christ, people used bronze more and more instead of using stone for tools and weapons. Now you have the Stone Age, then you have the copper, the bronze, and then comes iron. So we are in the Bronze Age. Now in the next chapter we will see the Iron Age. Now the bronze is a mixture of copper and other metals. The Al Hajar mountain range contains massive amounts of copper, which people learn to mine and turn it into pure copper. Mesopotamia, the strongest empire in that area at that time, needed copper to make weapons and agricultural tools. So that's the reason an-Nar played such an important role, not only for its culture, but also they helped in bringing the Bronze Age one step further, and how this particular Al Hajar Mountains was rich in amounts of copper, and the copper was used by the of Mesopotamia, which was said to be the strongest empire of that time. And they needed this copper for weapons and also for agricultural equipments. See, an-Nar and Mesopotamia. Since there is no copper in Mesopotamia, people came to the an-Nar society to trade for it. Records from Mesopotamia show that the area that is now the U.A.E and Oman was called the Magan Society. Records from Mesopotamia showed that it traded a lot with an-Nar people. Now, basically, it was for this reason only that they wanted a lot of copper from an-Nar. That's the reason the Mesopotamia people traded a lot with them. One text from just after the an-Nar period records a single shipment of over 18 tons, that is 18,000 kg of copper. When merchants came to the U.A.E to trade for copper, they brought beautiful ceramic vessels, ivory combs, and decorated beads. Examples of those were found in an-Nar tombs. So, through the excavations by the archaeologists, they came to know that the people of Mesopotamia had so much to offer. So, it was not only that they were taking copper from there and giving nothing in return, but they were sharing their ceramic vessels, the ivory combs, and decorated beads. So, this is all we come to know through the excavations done at the tombs of an-Nar. The an-Nar culture flourished for at least 500 years, for about 2500 to 2000 BC. In many ways, the an-Nar culture established some of the basic patterns of life. And what was that? That was trade and agriculture, which is still existent in U.A.E and in other parts of the world today. Moreover, the an-Nar culture gave an example of the people in the society being treated more equally than in other cultures at the same time. So, this is a very beautiful example to be set in modern times also, that all the people of the world should be treated equally. the people in our society should be treated equally. There is no inferiority or superiority complex which should be in the minds of the people. Now, this is activity 4, very much from the textbook. Please go through. So, this is activity 5 from the book. Please go through. This is again activity 6 from the book itself. I've written down certain things what I felt will go well with this question. You can write some more points of your own. This is a reflection question from activity 7 of the textbook. You can add some more points of your own. So thank you so much for watching my channel Learn SST. If you really liked this video, then please give me a like, share it with your friends and relatives and with your classmates so that they get benefited by my videos. See you next time with my new video. Till then, bye bye.